a moment. You know, the AFCA convention has also begun, which is a massive coaches convention where a lot of people are looking for jobs, a lot of people are looking to hire, and a lot of legislation can be at least discussed among coaches. The AFCA main headquarters is right here in Waco, Texas, just off the campus at Baylor. But Ross Dellinger, of course, has been discussing this, and so have many national writers. The thought about the 12-team playoff, we can get through the first or final 14 playoff, but the 5+7 model was not adopted, at least today. But as he was quoting mentioning Mark Keenum, the college football chair, would be shocked if that is not eventually approved for 2024. 5 automatic qualifiers to the highest-ranked champions and 7 at-large to the next highest-ranked teams. The top 4 champs would get first-round buys. That would be starting next year in December.
Yeah, I think they'll do that. Plus, it's only going to make it that much easier for the Power 2 to get to where they want to be.
So why would they do it?
Yeah.
Why would everybody just go on board with that?
They just – I mean, what's the other alternative?
To not go on board with that and to keep it more of a fair and open playing field as much as you can versus just handing them what they want, basically.
The threat of eventually them separating or something. I don't know. I would think that's the only – here's my hope. They sure do meet a lot. Mm-hmm. It's almost like there's a lot of meetings, and a lot of people love meetings. They love to go to meetings. It doesn't seem like this should take that long. You have everybody together either in Houston or Nashville or wherever – and I don't understand why even just get it done. Move on.
Well, because there's politics at play, guys.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a whole Pac-12 conference that just has 2 teams that's sitting there flipping in the wind over whether or not they're going to have a playoff spot. I mean, that's enough reason to not want to be it. And if you look into it, it's Kirk Schultz is the one that delayed it today. Kirk Schultz of Washington State, of the Pac-2, of the Pac-12, however you want to refer to it, he's the one that asked, according to Ross Dellinger, for the board to delay the vote on a 5+7 format. But again, CFP Chair Mark Keenum expects the CFP to adopt the 5+7 over the next 2 to 3 weeks. You can expect all you want to, but that sounds like you're trying to talk it into existence versus that being a guarantee.
It does need to be unanimous, right?
Yeah, and so if you're Kirk Schultz, again, I ask you, why are you going through with this? Unless you are being threatened with, well, if you don't do this, then down the line, when there's a renegotiation.
That's why I say what's the alternative, because you can fight the man only so long before the man gets you. And the other part of this,
by the way, I'm not against Kirk Schultz fighting for his
absolutely.
To his school in Oregon State.
But part of this also is in the 5+7 as opposed to the 6+6. You're also asking the 2 conferences, the Big 12 and the ACC, to say, yes, we're fine with the Mountain West and the Sun Belt getting a team in.
And not a
when I don't think that's how they necessarily feel either.
So you think the ACC is going to put themselves in that position after this year?
Yeah, I mean,
there's no way.
No, but that's the thing is, everybody's going to try to do the best thing to try to get more than just their automatic qualifier in, and the 6+6. Especially for the Big 12 and ACC, doesn't do that, because if you have to give one to the Sun Belt champion, then that's definitely not one that you're getting, because then it'll be back into the concern of, well, it's just going to be the SEC and Big 10 with those at-large berths past our champion anyway.
Yeah, I mean, when you have a non-SEC Big 10 guaranteed, though, through that other route versus going the other direction where you have one less,
you would have one less. But, like, are you going to sacrifice one less of you for one less of them, or are you going to roll the dice that you can get one more of you? That's where the Bob Bowlesby, I'm going to try to get 2 teams in this thing logic that everyone kind of has. Right. Like, we're going to try to sift through this and go, okay, well, if it's 5+7, then we have a better chance of getting 2 ACC teams in than it's 6+6, because we're now automatically giving away one of our tickets right then, as opposed to, well, if Florida State and Clemson are both really good, they're going to take those 2, and when that's not necessarily the case either.
Yeah, I just think that you're Kirk Schultz, and you're going to do whatever you can to keep the Pac-2 alive until whatever it is your master plan is that you're trying to figure out, if that's the Pac adding 10 teams this offseason or in the next couple of years, or if that's eventually fizzling into whatever you're going to be, and then we get to the point where there is just the Power 4 officially. But until there's not, it's still the Power 5. So I don't think you relinquish that voting power or that ability to disrupt things until you get some assurances on the other side of like you're going to be taken care of, you're going to be in a good spot. Oregon State and Washington State aren't just going to vote for this, give the SEC and Big Ten what they want and the others what they want, and then just fade to the wayside, right? So I think you've got to look out for yourself right now, and that's what they're doing. And there's all this talk about, I'm sure you've seen the always somehow filled in, like who's the West Virginia leak is what I want to know. Who's always telling the West Virginia Twitter guy, MH Ver or whatever other incarnations, because there's been other, I feel like, West Virginia, but who's the leak for like the last 2 decades out of Morgantown, West Virginia?
Maybe it's E. Gordon.
Maybe it's E. Gordon.
He hadn't been there that long, but yeah.
Maybe it is, but somehow that particular school has like the leakiest drip when it comes to...
Maybe there's not really a leak.
Or maybe not. It's intentional. It's whatever it is.
Just sounds like something good to discuss, and I'm not referring to anyone in particular.
But if you go off of like the rumblings, via, that, for example, or just the talk in general of how all the different ways this can go. I'm sure you all have seen the discussion about the alliance, the new alliance, the Big 12, the ACC, and so if you believe in that, and you think that that's in the works, then maybe that's part of this disruption here is like what's going on behind the scenes. But if you're Kirk Schultz, then yeah, you're certainly not just rushing into this. I'm sure you want some assurances, and who knows what's going on behind the scenes, guys, because Brett Yormark and the Big 12 have to know that they're not just safe and sound for forever and ever.
Yeah. No, always have to have their back. Always have to watch their back.
I tell you what, of all the expansion candidates, like, who's to say that Kansas isn't right at the top of the list if the Big 10 wants to go, grab another addition, or West Virginia, or, some of these schools who have, the characteristics that maybe would put them in a light where you'd want to have them in one of those top 2 conferences, so to speak. So realignment's not done, and you just wonder kind of what the maneuvering is going on behind the scenes. So that's why I think today is interesting. If you want to buy into all the various rumors that go out there, it does make it spicier. I don't know if that's the case in alliance or things like that, but I mean, there's obviously still some discussions going on, and they're not just going to push this thing through for the sake of it.
We are not done talking college football.